Hello there. So here we go on this TEDx application journey. Okay, be careful. Just be careful with what it is you start studying and what you start putting out in the world, y'all. Because it's a funny thing. It's a super funny thing what starts to happen. Okay, I've got news. I've applied so far to a total of 9 TEDx conferences. I just received my first rejection from TEDx Cincinnati. Failure, not reaching the intended goal. And that, not gonna lie. I mean, you apply to a lot because potentially, you've got to find the right fit. So first things first is that it's like applying, for like trying to get a book out there in the world. You've got to get a lot of rejections to find the right fit. But I don't know if I should be laughing or crying right now. And given the current mental state I'm in, which is just icky, I just don't feel great. I really just want to cry. I want to cry and laugh at the same time. So it's funny. I mean, so that's the first thing, right? I applied to 9 TEDx conferences so far, and I just got my first rejection. And it means I did something. It means I tried. And we'll see what the 8 other places that I've applied to have to say about my topic of failure as a sacred right. But this process just brings up so much already. What I can say is I have now interviewed 10 people on the topic of failure as a sacred right. And oh my gosh, I'm getting so many nuggets. Today, as I was talking with someone in the interview process, it was dawning on me that failures are, pivotal failures help us distill down what's really important. So this act of trying, while the thing is that I have to take time to feel the feelings and honor what's coming up. But after you kind of get past that feeling the feelings and honoring what's coming up, like these like pivotal failures in our life. And I'm not saying this is a pivotal failure per se in my life, but it doesn't feel good. They really help us distill down what's super important. And along those lines, like failure is it strips away the unnecessary to get to the core, to the heart of things. But we have to put ourselves out there. We have to try, and we have to go for what we want. And the trying for what we want and the going for it and then the not getting it, y'all, that does not feel good. It feels icky. So that was one nugget from an interview today. It is really interesting how hard it is to separate. I've said from the beginning, it's hard to separate feeling like a failure from failing. And we can't be failures. We can't. But those feelings, there's so much societal pressure, or we perceive there to be so much societal pressure to get things a certain way, to do things a certain way, that if we don't meet those expectations that we've created for ourselves in our head, that we might think that we are failures. And so how do we, I was thinking about it, like if you've ever cleaned wool, like, sheep get sheared and like the cleaning the wool, like it's kind of like that. It's like trying to get the dirt out, like feeling like a failure. We've got to kind of get that feeling out. So just to recap for those that are joining in my TEDx application journey, I just got my first rejection. I've applied to 9. I just got my first rejection, and I have now done actually, I think 10 interviews with people over the last week on failure. And it's been an intense week talking about this topic. And so trying to really like discern not being a failure. So that's a couple nuggets. I want to share a few more nuggets that we have here. So I'm just going through my notes really quick. If you've got, I'm curious. Somebody told me today that I was interviewing that they feel like me saying, like naming this talk failure as a sacred right. That in some ways that theme gives people permission to be vulnerable and to share their stories, and that it is like almost through sharing those stories. So kind of Brene Brown-esque, but kind of through sharing those stories that we're able to vindicate ourselves. And I kind of like think it's that vindicating, it is like cleaning the wool. It's the ability to let ourselves feel like to take the feeling of being a failure out of the process. So, dear fire-breathing Sphinx, I'm just reading what you're saying right now. Oh, yes, I'm feeling so vulnerable sharing this. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. But yes, this is just like, ooh, I'm getting in it, right? And like going on this journey and sharing this journey with everyone, and then the topic all like of applying to TEDx, and maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't get it, but then the topic being on failure, like it's so meta and it is so ironic, and I just feel a whole lot of feelings right now. Like I just feel like wanting to laugh and cry, getting that first rejection. And who knows? I mean, it brings up so many feelings. Failure brings up feelings for me of unworthiness. Like, failure is a part of life, and I'm choosing to embrace it. And in the embracing it, I'm feeling like sharing it with all of you is a way of like vindicating myself of the feeling of being a failure. Because like I won't lie, just now, just getting that email, ick. I mean, like logically I can tell myself, okay, maybe it's not the right fit. But I applied in Ohio kind of deliberately because my original home state is Ohio, and while I don't have a specific tie to Cincinnati, I thought, well, it's Ohio, maybe something in Ohio will help that. But I don't know, ickiness. I want to share a few more really quick. There's something to, I don't know what it is yet, but a comparison and failure, there's something there that's coming up. But one of the things that keeps coming up over and over and over, and that's maybe why it's like a hard thing and a good thing that I'm sharing this journey with all of you, is that community is really important. The thing that folks keep saying over and over and over to me when I'm interviewing them about, like, if you had a big failure or a foundational failure or, a failure that changed the trajectory of your life, like what helped you be able to like get through it, get over it, move on to the next thing. And over and over and over, people are saying, like removing yourself from the situation, but also, like some people have to physically move. A lot of people have to physically move if it's like a super big thing, like if it's a failure tied to your identity. And find the right community, the right supportive community that has similar core values and is willing to be with you in that failure. I want to go back to one of the notes from today. And let's see. Yeah, getting a coach can help you process feelings of failure. So come talk to me if you're working with it, because I've got so many tools in my toolbox, from personal failures, from all of these conversations, all of the things that I am, I've been working with women on. And it's one thing when it's theoretical, but when it's happening in real time, it's like a whole nother thing. I was interviewing Karen, public art practice today, and she was talking about how failure is a process of venerates. It's a process of veneration towards our goal. And I just think, and she also said, like, failure is so much easier with support. So that's a really interesting thing too. That if we can share our journey, it's like that Me Too feeling, why the Me Too movement is so important, because we get to share what's out there. But I really do think, like, pivotal failures help us distill down to what's really important. And, I'm just wondering, a question that I keep asking people and is, what is something that, like, what's something that's on your heart to do, but fear of failure is holding you back right now? Like, I'm so curious about this thing, because a couple people have laughed at me, and they're like, oh, my first reaction is nothing. And then they really start to think about it. And most people can kind of think of something. So that's really fascinating. I wasn't prepared to tell you all about my, all of the research that I've done so far, but I really want to. And I just had such a big reaction to seeing that rejection, the first TEDx rejection that I've received, and like that gut punch in the pit of my stomach. And I thought, okay, y'all are becoming my community in this journey, and it's time to, like, my friend Laura from Author Your Life, she's so funny. She's phenomenal. She has this term, come correct. And I'm like, I want to come correct with all you and tell you, like, this is real, and this is what I'm feeling, and this is what I'm going through, and it does not feel good, but I know that it is the process of distilling, and I know that this is the process that is going to eventually lead me to success somewhere down the line. I'm just my own guinea pig right now. So thank you all so much for being here and watching. And as you have thoughts on this topic, if you want me to interview you, I would love to talk to you. If you want to shoot me a DM or comment below on things that you aren't doing because you're afraid to fail, or maybe times you had a pivotal failure that changed the trajectory of your life, and maybe talk about either how you're grateful for it or what you did in that process. So thanks for listening along. I know this was a long one, and thank you all for being here and being a part of my community and being real and letting me be vulnerable and share. I am distilling down to the core of things, the heart of things, in real time with all of you. And I'm grateful for you in this community. Thank you. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your evening.